Hello and welcome to another Dev Diary video for Imperator Rome. So, we're first going to look at the Twitter teaser, and this one is actually from last week, on October the 14th. Unfortunately, last week they did not have a Dev Diary because I think Johan was sick, which worked out just fine for me because I was also sick. And yeah, so we're looking at the Twitter teaser from last week and the Dev Diary from this week. So yeah, that works out. So yeah, what we're looking at here looks to be the political map mode. And I think the most interesting thing to basically take away from this isn't the probing assault and this screen here, but the political map mode, it looks like it's only coloring in the border. See, you can see it very well on the Iceni and the Cantiagi, that only the border here is colored in, and the internals or areas that aren't actually bordering another tribe or another country or whatever aren't actually colored in, which is interesting to say the least. The Dabuni also have sort of that same thing going on. So do the Coritani, but with the color of their actual country, you can't really tell all that well. So, yeah, we're looking at probing assault, which it looks like it's kind of got the same kind of thing going on as CK2 does, where there is strengths and weaknesses to each different tactic that you're using. Though, as far as I'm aware, did you actually use... Didn't they say that with Imperator Rome you were going to choose your formation before you go into a combat? Is that kind of what we're seeing? Is that this? Because I actually don't see any combat going on here, so yeah, it looks like you're selecting probing assault from the off before you even engage. I suppose that works a little bit better than CK2's, where it's completely random what kind of tactics you're going to be using every day of combat. I don't think I know anyone that really likes that system. But yeah, this is, it's interesting. It's interesting. Right, so, on to the Dev Diary itself. And first off, holy shit, that artwork is gorgeous. I love it. I love it so much. He's like, no idea what's coming. I don't know why he has no idea what's coming. Like, it should be pretty loud and clear that you're about to be fucked. But anyway. Hello and welcome to the 21st Dev Diary for Imperator. This time we'll go into how land combat works in the game, and we'll talk about combat tactics. Very nice. So, a lot of text here. So, combat in Imperator occurs when two armies are in the same city. City is sort of like the provincial level in Imperator. I always need to remind myself of that. The army first in the city is considered a defender unless the other side has control over fortifications in the province. So we're talking about like EU4's fort system. The battlefield has 60 different positions for each side, as well as a reserve where cohorts currently not fighting will be. 60 different positions. Combat width? Is that what combat width is? Interesting. I'm not sure. Armies will be organized with infantry in the middle, cavalry on the flanks, and range support in the backline when possible. Everything we've already seen before. Each day, each unit will fire on one target in front of them or towards the side if they have a high enough flanking ability. Damage is determined by adding up the dice with the combat modifiers from terrain and leaders, where a total of 0 or below gives 2% damage and the maximum of 15 from terrain and dice give 30% of damage. The impact of dice rolls on battle is far less in Imperator than games like Victoria, EU4 and CK2. That's nice. As the range of dice is smaller, with just a 1d6 being rolled, so basically you've got 1 to 6 for people who don't know dice, rather than the usual 1d10. Crossing a river or doing a naval landing gives -1 to the attacker. Mountains give +2 to the defender, while hills, march, I think that's supposed to be marsh, and forests give +1 to the defender. Leaders impact combat as well, with the difference in martial giving a bonus to the one with the highest martial. Then the damage value is modified by the following before being applied to the target. Please note all damage is done after the round of combat is calculated, so it's not beneficial to fire first. If you're firing from the back line, you're basically at 50% efficiency. The attacking unit's discipline is positive modifier for damage, and this discipline can be either the country, individual modifiers of discipline down to the cohort, and loyal regiments will do slightly more damage, okay? Each unit can also have bonuses for fighting better or worse when doing damage or receiving damage, and also for fighting in certain terrains. Of course, they could also have generic bonuses that make them all around better or worse. Some units perform better against other types, where chariots are good versus light infantry, but bad versus heavy infantry. Would that be the case? Yeah, that would be the case. Alright. And then the comparison of the combat tactics between the opposing forces. The experience a unit has reduces how much damage that unit takes. Then this damage is multiplied by a value to scale damage, so combat lasts over the desired amount of ticks. Right. So combat tactics. First off, let's just scan through this again. What is the same and what is different from EU4? I think EU4 is definitely the closest comparison we can make here. 60 different positions for each side. I feel like that's got to be combat width. I can't understand anything else that would possibly be. I mean, a reserve, yeah, we have that in EU4. 60 different positions, so maybe it's 30 combat width, front line, back line. Infantry in the middle, cavalry on the flanks, range support on the back line. Yeah, that just... It does make sense. It just makes sense that this is combat width. It's just strange that he's not using the term combat width and instead he's calling it something he's never called it before in any capacity ever. Either way, whatever. Each day, fire on the target in front of them or towards the side. Yep, that's the same as EU4. Determined by adding up the dice and the combat modifiers from terrain and leaders. That's the same. Total of 0 below gives 2% damage. Maximum of 15 from terrain and dice gives 30% of damage. Okay, so it looks like there's a base damage and then these add on to that between 2 and 30% extra. Okay. The impact of dice roll is less in Imperator. Good. Good. I like that. That should be in E4 as well. Crossing a river gives -1. It's -2 in EU4 if I remember rightly. Mountains give +2, blah blah blah, that's all the same. There's no highlands, it seems, it's just hills. Marsh and forest. Yeah, so there's no highlands, but mountains giving +2 is the same. Yeah, crossing a river being -1 is the same, but doing a naval landing is not. And also, it doesn't say anything about any kind of maneuver score of a general giving, negating this crossing penalty. Leaders impact combat as well, yeah, just like generals, but it's in martial rather than, you know, fire, shock, maneuver, well, just fire and shock pips on your generals, so yeah, that's fine. Damage is modified by the following before being applied to the target. Firing from the backlines, 50% efficiency, that is the same as in EU4. Attacking units discipline is a positive modifier for damage, yeah, that's the same. And then a bunch of different things can affect discipline, like your country modifiers, individual modifiers of the cohorts, that's the same. Each type of unit can have bonuses, fighting better or worse, when doing damage or receiving damage. That's an interesting one. That's definitely new here. This is definitely new. Like if you're taking damage, you're doing more damage, or you do more damage if you're doing more damage. Like it's a extra bonus. I don't know. It's like a... It's very interesting. Also for fighting in certain terrains. Yeah, I think that fighting in certain terrains, making certain units better or worse is good. Like chariots and phalanx and maybe elephants as well would absolutely suck balls in like mountains and hills and shit. And I'd say cavalry of all stripes and heavy infantry and chariots and elephants would suck balls in marshes. So yeah, you know, that makes sense. I like this. This is something I like. Generic bonuses make them better or worse. Okay. Units perform better against other types. Yeah, we've heard that before. Combat tactics, so tactics is a thing, that's the same. So experience, a little bit like drill in that, well, I mean, drill gives, it gives positive shock and fire damage and less damage received, so I guess it's a little bit like drill, but also not, because it doesn't, well, I mean experience might go away, but you would gain experience by fighting rather than by clicking a button and waiting. So yeah, you know what, that's fine. This is a better way to do it than drill, I think. And then damage is multiplied by value to scale damage, so combat lasts over a desired amount of ticks. That's an interesting one. I'm not sure where that's going to go, but I guess we'll figure it out later. Now, combat tactics. This looks like a chunky dev diary. Combat tactics. One of the more major difference makers in combat is tactics. For each army, you can determine one offensive and defensive tactic, where each has one they are great versus and one they are bad versus. Okay, so when I was talking about combat tactics here, I was thinking like, you know, your tactics in EU4. That's not the case. We're looking at these tactics, so think of the different tactics you can use in CK2, perhaps. Okay, offensive tactics used if you're the attacker in the battle, and the defensive tactics is used if you're not the attacker. Ah, okay, so it seems like it's going to be... It seems like it's going to be the case that it's not switching between the two. Like, you're not the attacker and the defender, you're not using both of your pips. If you attack, you use your attacking tactics, and if you're defending, you use your defending tactics, but you don't flip between the two. It doesn't work the same way as in EU4, where you know, your units have pips, they have offensive and defensive pips, and you use both of them. It doesn't matter if you're attacked or defended, you use both. So it doesn't seem that that's the case here, which I'm totally okay with. Alright, so he's using all-out assault. Casualties increased by plus 10% for both. Versus probing counterattack is good. Versus hard defense is bad. Versus withdraw is very good. Alright, and then I'm not going to go through all of these because, I mean, it's just, oh, plus 30% of this and plus 20% of this, and we don't really know what any of these mean. I mean, I could go through them, but I'm not going to. So, yeah. Nice. So, stay tuned. Next week, Trintracula will be writing a bit about the game. Very cryptic. I like it. And, yeah. So, that's your dev diary. This art is phenomenal. I love it. I love it. Very nice. Lovely. So, that's your dev diary. And yeah, I'd be interested to see your thoughts. I like that they're differentiating it a bit away from any of the previous games. Again, I'm not sure how it worked in EU Rome, because I never played it, so I can't make any comparisons to it. But yeah, this is an interesting dev diary. I'm okay with it. I think this could work pretty nicely, and I'm just can't help but think, how is this going to translate over to a 1444 mod, right? But yeah, that seems pretty decent. So I want to thank you all very much for watching. I'll be ending this video now. So yeah, thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, feel free to click the like button. Please do leave your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. Do you like this? Do you not like this? What would you change it to? Is anything that I've missed? And yeah, check back next week and we'll have a talk about the game, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, that's your dev diary, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.